Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the mind of a legend, Warren Buffett. We're going to break down the surprisingly simple rules that have made him one of the most successful investors, well, ever. I mean, this is a guy who's built an insane fortune over decades, so you better believe Wall Street watches his every move. They don't call him the Oracle of Omaha for nothing. You would think he has some kind of crystal ball, right? A secret formula for knowing exactly what the economy is going to do next. But the truth, it's way more surprising, and honestly, a lot more powerful than that. Okay, let's just stop on that for a second. That one sentence, it's the key to his entire philosophy. So if he's not trying to predict the future, what in the world is he doing? So if he's not paying attention to GDP reports or what the Fed might do with interest rates, what is he looking at? It's simple, really. He's looking at the business itself, almost as if he were buying a piece of land. Just look at Apple. Berkshire Hathaway's stake is worth around $45 billion. That is a staggering amount of money to have tied up in just one company. With that much cash on the line, you'd assume he's glued to the screen, tracking every tiny price movement, every news alert, right? Nope, not even close. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? He famously bought a farm back in the 80s, and you know how many times he's actually visited it? Once. His reasoning? Well, the corn isn't going to grow any faster just because he's standing there staring at it. So for him, Apple isn't some flickering stock price on a screen. It's a hugely productive farm. The harvest he cares about isn't the daily stock price. That's just the weather. It changes all the time. No, the real harvest is the billions in profits Apple generates, its incredible brand loyalty, its whole ecosystem of products. That's the real yield, not the daily weather report from Wall Street. And this way of thinking, it flows right into his next big principle. You've got to actively tune out the noise. See, it's one thing to not make your own predictions. It's a whole other level to completely ignore everyone else's. For Buffett, the whole industry of economic forecasting, it's not a science. He literally calls it entertainment. He believes there are just way too many variables, too many moving parts. To him, it's all just noise, distracting from what actually matters. And this chart really lays out the difference. Buffett is looking for the signal. Let's go back to his investment in Coca-Cola. In the late 80s, the market was panicking about a crash. But Buffett was focused on Coke's intrinsic value, a globally recognized brand that people would keep buying no matter what the economy was doing. He paid a fair price for that long-term productivity and just ignored the short-term noise. That's the whole game. Now, this intense focus on the long term means you have to prepare for the unexpected storms along the way, right? You can't plan to own a farm forever without expecting some droughts and floods. This massive pile of cash, that's his ultimate defense. It's his fortress. So when a market crashes, he can swoop in and buy great companies on the cheap. Or when a massive hurricane hits, his insurance businesses have the cash to cover the damage. His fortress is always prepared for anything. You know, this fortress thinking even extends to how he views the country's leadership. He boils it all down to two critical jobs for any president. Number one, protect the country from absolute catastrophe. And number two, protect that amazing economic engine, what he calls the marvelous goose, so it keeps laying more golden eggs. So protecting that economic engine is absolutely crucial. But for Buffett, it doesn't stop there. Once that marvelous goose lays its golden eggs, he argues that we have a collective duty to make sure everyone gets a piece of the pie. His favorite tool for this is the Earned Income Tax Credit, or EITC. He sees it as the best way to support people who are working hard, but whose skills might not command a high price in today's market. It's a direct way to boost their income and reward their effort. He frames this as a fundamental responsibility, not a handout. For him, a rich country should act like a functional family. It looks after all its members, not just the ones who happen to bring in the most money. And this idea of shared prosperity, it extends globally, especially when it comes to what he sees as the defining relationship of our time, the US and China. He argues that a zero-sum game where one has to lose for the other to win is just way too dangerous. The goal shouldn't be to become enemies, but to be strong competitors in a world where both nations can actually thrive. Okay, so after all of this, you have to ask the big question, right? what does he say about the massive opportunities he's just completely missed? I mean, he's a huge admirer of Jeff Bezos, so why didn't he buy Amazon stock early on? And this right here, this might be the most powerful lesson of all. The biggest mistake isn't missing out on something you don't understand. The biggest mistake is failing to act on an opportunity that is right in your wheelhouse. So I guess the real question for all of us is, what's inside your circle, and are you playing to win?